Hello there, my name is Paul Burt. A lot of people call me Bertie, but this is a show called Step Outside, and I'd love to bring it to you right now. What it's about is basically me growing up as a kid and learning the experiences that I've learnt and bringing that back to you back home. Whether you're fishing, maybe you're getting outside and learning how to tie the right knot for that application, or setting up a tent, a bit of coastal bar crossing. The list goes on, it's endless, but it's basically for you to learn how to do it yourself, so you too can step outside. Now, my normal job, I'm a weatherman. I love what's happening outside for Channel 7. It happens every day here on the Gold Coast and throughout Queensland, and often on sunrise out of Sydney. So sit back and enjoy as I bring to you a passion that a lot of us love to do, and that is step outside.
Coming up on today's show, we take the jigs to the reef and hit up the largemouth Nanagai. We'll teach you a knot that won't let your fish ever slip away again, how to successfully pump yabbies on your local banks. But up now, we head to the Barrier Reef for some tackle busting sessions on GTs. Cairns, the home of serious boats and the port to serious fishing.
Now, we've just been travelling for around about an hour off the coast. We've pulled up just behind an island. This is Fitzroy here. It's been a little bit bumpy, but this is the last of the calm before we hit the open waterways before getting out to the reef, where it will calm off a little bit more as well. But I guess what we're going to see around here there, Clint, is just some pretty wild action. We just saw some bait fish showering, so I know Captain Kim at the front there's busting to get a lure out. But
a bit twitchy.
What can we expect, mate? This is an unreal coastline.
Yeah, really nice spot. Plenty of good fishing, GTs, mackerel, anything, reefies, you name it.
It's the tropics.
Could be here.
Yeah, it is. It's an open slate when you come up here fishing. We've got a little while to go, so we'll keep powering on. All right, so we've just arrived out here on the reef. We're about 20 mile off the coast or so on these bommies of the Great Barrier Reef. We are not in a green zone, but an area that Captain Kim knows quite well. He's fished out here for over 30 odd years and he knows this spot like the back of his hand. Mate, lay a cast out, Clint. We've been looking for bommies, and this area here has bait around it. A bommie is basically a structure that rises off the bottom. It doesn't have to go through the surface. It can sit just below the surface. It could be a coral bulbous head from up here or down south a giant rock, but it attracts fish, and this is what we're doing. We've laid up our Saragosas with a Terez rod, and of course we've got a giant popper. This will emulate fish that scoots around the surface, what these big predators are wanting to get. And of course, a bit of wire in case there's mackerel, big cup face on it, will bloop, bloop, bloop across the surface. Other species that love it, all the way from the freshwater impoundments of Barra, the streams of Barra, mangrove jacks. We're not going to get them out here, but we will get other species. Let's give it a crack. Clint had hooked an absolute beast of a fish. Now the GT race across the surface from the shelter of the coral bommie. It's what they do. It strikes the popper as the popper's making its way back to the boat.
He's not huge, but he's good.
That's a good fish, mate.
Can I have that cushion, please, mate?
But coming to play with us was not on this ocean predator's agenda. It shed the hook during another high-speed run, and that does happen. But there is no shortage of shallow water monsters like this in this part of the world.
Yes! He just ate that. He's only a little fella.
These GTs were playing hard to get. Happy to smash the lures.
Got an ugly lure on.
Oh, he fell off. He fell off. He fell off.
Just as quick to drop them as well and sneak off back to the safety of the reef. We moved into slightly deeper water, and fingers crossed for that one that wouldn't get away.
Oh, yep, behind line, behind.
Yes, yes! Oh, yeah!
A battle royale had just begun to land this incredible creature. Stick around. This action with more on Step Outside, back in just a moment.
Set 30.
Quiet. So tell me, mate, what's going on here,
Mate,
Clint?
we are hooked up.
You see the boof on that thing? It's like a combi coming out with its mouth going.
Mate, he absolutely smashed it right on the bait.
Now we're running this is the Saragossa 10,000 saltwater series. I got the 8,000. We're using Power Pro braid. It's a pretty good, nice streamlined braid that as well. Good for casting. It's about 50 or 80 pound. There you go, champion.
Wow.
Hang on, let's just see. Oh, yep, behind mine, yes! Oh, yes! So we're just bombing these areas. We're peppering it with those lures. Clint's been smashing the outside edge here, getting some really good hit-ups around the bait. It's just a matter of which lure's in the right spot at that right time. And it's really important. One thing is the drag. You know, we've done it up fairly tight here, is to make sure you've got a really super smooth drag. So if you have an older reel, just of course tie it to a tree at home or something like that and just walk back nice and slowly. It's got to be that nice zzz pull. If it's a real gagey, sort of lumpy, chunky drag, get rid of the washes and redo them because you're going to need it when you've got a big fish on. Okay, all yours there, Josh. He's not a big one. Go in the corner of his mouth. That's it. Well, that's it. Successfully poppering for GTs. You too can have a crack at it, but if you haven't got trevally in your neck of the woods, you can still do the exact same technique for other species. And of course, with that, it can range from Mulloway around a bulbous headland where the surf cracks in around the edges, all the way through to kingfish on those semi-submerged platforms and reefs. But nonetheless, that's it. A beautiful technique of catching GTs on poppers. And I've got to say, thank you to Clint from Anaconda coming up and joining us, mate. A lot of fun.
Cheers, mate. Had a ball.
Well done,
Had
son.
a dream time.
Okay.
Send you, mate. Yeah, he's good.
He's gone.
And some tips to get you underway for the GT's 40 to 80 pound pop combo. Get an 8-inch cup face popper, subsurface reef ledge, that's a necessity. Set your drag to heavy. Work those tidal pressure points and of course, locate the bait schools.
Hey everybody, I'm going to give you a quick tip now on, it's called a uni knot, and I'm going to use the uni knot to tie into my hook. No, I'm not brim fishing or flathead fishing. This is just a large hook. You could probably use it for groper or sharks, but it's easy for you to see. I'm not going to use this as fishing line, but again, to show you what it's all about. Visually, it looks okay. So first things first, through the eye of the hook like so. You want to get about maybe a foot and a half on this rope. You just make it a bit shorter, obviously, with lighter line. Just come up here and hold the hook like so, so it's dangling. Then from here, I'm going to take my tag end and just push it against the main line, so it's got that loop like so. From here, I just wrap the tag end around the main line and through the loop. You want to do about 5 or 6 times, like so, and then just pull it tight. And there we have it. From here, I slide it down by pulling the main line down. You want to keep a little bit of a loop there like so. Pull that tight, trim it up, and there you have it.
Don't go anywhere. Coming up, our blue water action continues. See the deep water beast behind this bent rod action.
There's nothing like catching your own fresh bait, and today I'm going to give you a few tips on how to catch yabbies. And of course, yabbies here is a fantastic bait to use in your local estuaries, found mostly around the country as well in most areas. But what we do have to use is a thing called a yabby pump, and of course we've got a couple of different sizes. This is my young fellow Kalen, he's got the smallest pump, I've got the biggest pump. It's pretty hard for him to use something that's a little bit longer. Well, we're on a beautiful yabby bank. I'll show you what we need to look for and we'll get into it. Now, a good telltale sign of a quality yabby bank are just lots of holes around the place, like these little suckers here. These particular holes are made by the yabbies, but also there are lots of larger holes around here, and a good forensics of looking at a good quality bank, particularly where there's loads of yabbies, are stingrays. They leave it looking like a moonscape. They come in at night time, generally on the high tide. They lay across these flats. They lift their flaps, sucking up all the yabbies from the bank, and then they move on to the next spot. So it does look very, very, I guess, moonscape, lunarscape, if anything, throughout the day. But it's a good sign. You also see a lot of other things, such as flathead lies around here as well. But we're going to give this a go. I've got with me the yabby pump. This is the Wilson. We've also got Alvey yabby pumps as well, locally made, which is a good thing. This is how we do it. In goes the yabby pump, push down only about a couple of inches, out goes the handle, and then pump out. Push down to where you were again, out goes the handle, and keep going. Now, if you start to get a lot of shale, which is all this rock, and the sand is really black, it's not good, okay? You really want to move away. We ended up getting one yabby out of here. He's got a nice big nipper on him. They will hurt you if they bite, okay? But that's a perfect bait, that little sucker there. But of course, with this, it's a telltale sign of just to get away and go and find some better sand. And of course, having a really good helper makes a big difference as well. Here you go, champion, you hold the bucket. Two different size yabby pumps that we're using here today. We've got the King yabby pump and the standard yabby pump. This is for Junior, for Kalen. So mate, you put the bucket down, you have a crack at some, just find the hole, and I'll have a go as well. So we just, here we go, down a little bit. That's it. Now see the colour of that sand? It's really dark. It means there's a lot of mineral in that sand. There's a few yabbies here. We don't want these little small ones. We'll let those back down the hole and keep the bigger one. But that's again a telltale sign to move away. If it's too dark, you're not going to complete your yabby pumping successfully. You'll be pumping a lot for very little return. Let's keep walking away. All right, so we'll try here. This is a little area that looks a little bit more promising. We've come up a little bit further. We've got the bucket there. In goes our yabby pump. Look at that, a beautiful colour, a nice splatter of moisture in there as well. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. 4 or 5 pumps, and there we go, we've got 4 or 5 yabbies straight away. A beautiful local bait. Keep going there, champion. And there you have it. A quality yabby to put straight onto the hook. And I'll tell you what, any fish in the area will hone straight in onto that. It's a beautiful, beautiful bait. Here's another tip within the tip. It'll make life so much easier for you as well. Now, Kalen, if you stand there, buddy, stay where you are. If I'm pumping my yabby pump here, it's really hard. You'll get yabbies, but I'll tell you what, it really does work you. Some beautiful fresh yabbies there. So what you do is you have your picker-upper standing beside you, okay? You don't want him in front of you. So you stay there, champ. I'll pump, so much easier. A lot more liquid in that squirt as well, so you can pick them up and I'll move on. Continue pumping. Sand's too dark, we leave that alone. What nice grey sand, that good colour. There we go, some beautiful yabbies there. Well, that's pretty much it. It's great entertainment for the young fella as well. Get the kids out there, teach them how to catch their own bait. They'll save some money at the same time having a great entertaining day if they're into the outdoors. And I've got myself a good handful of yabbies and a bucket full over there, just enough for what I need for the day's fishing expedition. Good luck. Keep going, champ. And of course, before you do go out there and collect your own bait, check your local state government fisheries laws to make sure that you do comply with the bag limits. Now, it is important, of course, to clean the yabby pump. You don't want to pick it up in a day or week or month's time and it looks like that. It won't last that long. So, an easy way to do it is put it under the water like so, pull the handle out, do a couple of squirts. That'll just clean all the sand out, wipe down the shaft. And if you push the handle in while it's under the water, it'll fill up. Make sure the handle's not facing towards you or you'll get wet. Pull it out. Yabby pump is clean, looking like brand new, and it'll last you for quite a while. Good luck.
And some tips for yabby pumping. Grab yourself a king-size yabby pump. A bank with yabby holes is a requirement. Work the low tide so you got plenty of sand. 4 pumps per hole is enough. Avoid the dark coloured sand, too heavy with minerals, and regularly change the water to keep your bait fresh.
Hands off that remote. Up next, a step-by-step rundown on everything you need to know to get into this kind of action and land the one of these bad boys yourselves. Step outside. We'll be right back. Small tips, that's what I love to show you guys back at home. And at the moment, we're out here on the reef and we're going to be using the Gamoku small micro jig here. It's only a little small number. It comes pre-rigged, as you can see, and there's not a lot of action to it. In fact, being a micro jig, unlike the larger, bigger jigs that you use out in the deeper reefs where you get sore arms and you're really belting into 100 metres of water, it does get very tiring. But micro jigging, you got to look at the size of that. It looks very similar to a bait fish found around wrecks, reefs, ledges, bommies, anything like that. So I've got tied up there 60-pound fluorocarbon in subtle, it's not the hard, and I've also got 50-pound Power Pro braid, Turium 16HG with a Game Type J jig stick. And it's a nice light outfit. It's even got the little trigger grip down here, so I can really hold it in my hand and use it wisely. Now, what I'm going to do here, drop it down. I've got about 8 feet of monofilament leader there, so that should be enough to give it plenty of strength and also enough cushion for the fish when he hits this jig, and we'll see how we travel. I'll show you how to do a bit of jigging, and fingers crossed we come up trumps with a fish. So what I tend to do here is I hold the rod like so. I really need to jam it in between my fingers. I like to be more comfortable putting it between my pinky and the next finger like so, and it just allows my thumb there. If you haven't got a bigger hand like mine or small or whatever, is you might end up coming right up here, but that feels a bit weird for me. So wherever you're comfortable, in this case here, my right hand between those 2 fingers. Out of gear and just thumb it. Put your thumb on that and just take your thumb off and let it go down nice and gently, just so it's touching your skin. If you let it go without it, you get a bird's nest, and that's not cool. So we just let it go nice and gently. When it hits the bottom, you'll know, it'll stop. But you've got to really jam your thumb on it at that time. So if the fish decides to grab it on the way down, you'll feel the spool really start to crank out fast. Then you just push it in gear and strike, and you're basically straight up on it. So once you will find that the fish has grabbed it or you've hit the bottom like so, it stops. Just wind it up and just little jigs. Just flick that tip, nothing too vigorous. You don't want to get out there and jig like so, it's just crazy. You'll use up all your energy. Drop it back down. The fish in this area here are things like paddletail, largemouth nanagai, trout. So we're just working this reef area and underwater structure. Get it about 20 or 30 feet off the bottom. We are in about 120 feet of water, and dropping back down. And once you do that, you just keep moving around. If your line goes up towards the bow of the boat, that's where you need to go and follow it. So I just dropped down that Gamoku micro jig onto this bommy and just did a slight retrieve, felt the knock, and then quickly gave it a retrieve, dropped it back down, and at the same time kept a really good finger spool, which basically means that you're keeping in control of the lure as it's dropping down. The fish has grabbed it on the way down. If I didn't keep my thumb on it, basically a bigger bird's nest overrun and you can easily lose your fish. So you really got to concentrate and be on top of the game at all times. You can see this Type J Shimano outfit is really light. You can use it all day. Fishing about 40 metres of water here. So getting a bit of colour now. It's not a bad fish. Here he comes, look at that. There we go, champ. Oh yeah. Look at that. Nah. There he comes. Nice largemouth nanagai. That is a solid fish. Taking on that little Gamoku. I'll just get my thumb in there. Ah, get through there, mate. Gotcha. And there you have it. Have a look at that lure. I'll come right into you there, Jack. You can see it. He's really hooked it right on that corner. That magnificent fish. And you don't have to worry about the hook size because they come pre-rigged, which is awesome. There we go. So pre-rig, you don't have to worry about it. Now that, I can tell you, that's just his stomach lining coming back out. He's throwing up, trying to get rid of what he ate. But that is a magnificent fish, and one I will guarantee for you am going to enjoy on the dinner table tonight. I know a lot of people let fish go. We let a lot of fish go too, but for serious good quality eating fish, man, this one here is going into the esky.
For the Gamoku jigging, try a 50-pound jig combo from Shimano, a 70-gram Gamoku jig, heavy, set, drag. That's what you're going to have. Underwater structure, that's a requirement. Locate the bait schools. Where there's bait, there's big fish. And a slow jig retrieve.
Next week on Step Outside, taking on the mighty Barra of Far North Queensland, but with a twist. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. We'll take you to the exclusive location where the catches are guaranteed, plus the aerial acrobatics of one of our country's brightest young stars. Incredible action and an amazing story too. All of that and more next Saturday, 3 p.m, right here on Step Outside.